Hey everybody, it's Goblin and welcome back to some more Magic Arena, and today we're going to be playing another premiere draft of Murders at Karlov Manor. Without further ado, let's get into our Pack 1 Pick 1, and we have a really fun build around Rare. So this is a really awesome card to open up in your Pack 1, because then you can make sure to draft a deck that really utilizes it well. We've got Judith, Carnage Connoisseur. This is a Rakdos Rare, 3 of black and red for a 3/4 Legendary Human Shaman. Not the greatest stat line for that mana cost, but every time you cast an instant or sorcery spell, you get to either make a 2/2 imp that deals 2 to each opponent when it dies, or you get to give that spell Death Touch and Lifelink. So any burn that you take, like Shock and Galvanize in this format, becomes just a guaranteed removal spell on any size creature and gains you life when you cast it. Judith is a super fun build around, so I'm going to try to get her to work here towards Rakdos, and lucky position to be in. As you can see, packs have changed a bit. These are play boosters instead of draft boosters now. So we've got Magma, which isn't even from Murders at Karlov Manor in this pack. That's because it showed up in the extra little list slot. So every once in a while you get something that isn't from the main set. And we see a Lamplight Phoenix here, which I imagine is only still in the pack because this pack may have had 2 rares. That happens as well with play boosters. So really lucky pickup here, getting a second on color rare. We can really just push right into Rakdos. This is a 3 mana 3/3 flyer, already good and limited, and when it dies you can exile it and mana value 4 or greater of cards from your graveyard. If you do, you put it right back onto the battlefield tapped. So really great hard to kill threat. Pack 1 pick number 3, we've got a Long Goodbye here, which is not a burn spell, so it's not going to get the Death Touch lifelink, but it's still an instant or sorcery spell that's just a really good card in general. This is a great way to kill disguised creatures because it can't be countered. So the 2/2 body with Ward 2, the Ward 2 just doesn't matter anymore, so you can kill it before they flip it up and get their value. And you can also kill just any cheap cards, so really efficient removal that also manages to maybe spit out a 2/2 imp with Judith's secondary ability if we're super lucky, so we'll take that. Pick number 4, here's a big burn spell, Suspicious Detonation, kind of a lot of mana. 5 mana for 4 damage is certainly not great, but it cannot be countered, and if we've sacrificed an artifact this turn, we can cast it for only 2. So if we manage to pick up some clue token producers, that can give us a cost reduction on this. So I think we take that here, trying to play a Judith deck. We could also take the Fairy Snoop, which is playable even if we're not playing blue, because we can disguise it face down as the 2/2 and then flip it up for double black and 1. So that's an option. Or the Rift Burst Hellion, even though we're not playing green, can be a big finisher because we can play it face down, then flip it up as the 6/7, but I think Detonation makes the most sense here. Pick number 5, we've got Slice from the Shadows. We could just be full Rakdos control here, just play all removal spells and a Judith, and just hope they can't kill our Judith immediately, or else we don't really have a game plan. I don't know, sounds fun enough to me. I don't think that Frantic Scapegoat or Innocent Bystander are going to be particularly good for really any deck, but especially not a slower version of Red-Black, which is probably what we're doing. So not super excited about these. Scapegoat is fine for like a really aggressive deck, but I don't think Innocent Bystander is ever going to be that exciting. We'll just take a Slice from the Shadows. Decent removal spell, a little bit mana inefficient when you're not killing a ward creature, because you're going to have to spend probably 5 mana to kill a 4 toughness card, 6 mana to kill a 5 toughness card, so on. You're always spending like 1 more mana than you want, but it's still fine. Speaking of cards that are fine, here's an Extract the Confession for just more removal all day, make our opponent sack a creature. This is pretty bad against token producers, but pretty great otherwise. We can also take Undercity Eliminator, which could be great. That's a removal spell on a beat stick. You can bash into your opponent while casting removal. I guess we'll take Undercity Eliminator. We do need to draft some cards to work with this. We've already got multiple cards that really want us to find some ways to investigate and get some clue tokens, so we'll take those pretty highly. Pick 7, another Long Goodbye. Nice and late. Happy to see that. I'll take that here. If I weren't so married to trying to play Judith, The correct pick could very well be Crime Stopper Sprite, because I think that's pretty late for such a good little flyer with a great enter the battlefield effect. But I'm pretty married to Judith. I mean, she's Judith. All right, pick 8 now. We've got a big 5/5, we've got a combat trick, and that is it. I'm not going to be excited about either of these cards, so I think I'd rather just take like Surveillance Monitor maybe. I mean, if we get enough cheap removal, we could just do nothing but removal spells in the early game, and then maybe just slamming down a 5/5 is a win condition. But maybe we can do some slashing and get a Surveillance Monitor in here. 4 mana for a 3/3 and a 1/1 flyer is pretty good. This could be a good play off the splash. Wow, yeah, blue looks open. The Crime Stopper Sprite here too. We just mentioned how good this card is, but Person of Interest is also pretty great. 4 mana for 2/2/2s. I think Crime Stopper Sprite's a little bit better, but not a ton. I'll actually go for Person of Interest there. I do like that card a lot. 2 Hustle and Bustles. Oh, play boosters. You're so funny. I'd rather just take a 3 mana disguise thing, I think. This doesn't do too much. Yeah. So this is a 3 mana 2/2 on curve. What is this? Return a creature from your grave to the battlefield and suspect it. I don't think I care. But it's an uncommon, so at least we're rare drafting an uncommon for Vault Progress. All right, let's do a little bit of deck building real quick. So removal, removal, removal. This is our actual creature curve. 3 mana. Yeah, these 2 at 3 mana, these 2 at 4 mana, and these 2 at 5 mana. I mean, pretty high curve, but I really like our non-creature spells, and really like Judith, so we've got that. Pack 2, pick 1. Doesn't look great. I guess we take Extract a Confession here. Again, fine removal, because it's going to be really good when our opponent doesn't have tokens. It's just going to be really bad when they do. Dual Leech is interesting. 2/4. This creature with power 2 or less, +1/+0, Death Touch until end of turn. It's pretty annoying if you've got a bunch of disguised 2/2s all over the board. Assailant's pretty nice when you flip it up. Get some life drain going there. Take Extract a Confession, though. Rakdos Control. Pack 2, pick 2. Persuasive Interrogators is another control finisher. If we can get 5 clue tokens, we can poison our opponent out. That's gotta be good, right? This is not a good idea, but we're going for it. Pack 2, pick number 3. Here's a Galvanize. This is perfect with Judith and also great removal otherwise. We've also got Gleaming Gear Drake, which is so good when you're doing a clue-focused deck, which we kind of are. Like, on our way towards with that Persuasive Interrogator, at least. It's harder to get to, though, because we need to splash it in, and there are not a lot of options for splashing. For mana fixing, I should say. I'll take Galvanize over Gear Drake, but I am very tempted. Pack 2, pick number 4. Whenever a creature's dealt damage, its controller may exile that many cards from top of their library. They can play them until end of turn. Weird. I don't think I can go into any more detail than that. That is all I have to say. Just weird. I guess demand answers, since we are digging through our deck to find Judith. This thing's insane. Neighborhood Guardian is a gross magic card. It's way too powerful, but we're pretty far away from white. It's just so good in this set. Pick 5. I like Gadget Technician. Even if we're not playing blue, we get to flip it up for that disguise cost. Get a 3/2 and a 1/1 flyer. Could play a really beefy blocker with the Coroner, but I'll take the Technician. Or we could try to splash in, coerce the kill. We're already sort of potentially splashing in Surveillance Monitor, but as I said before, there's like so little fixing. We've seen basically 0 fixing the first 2 packs. So I don't know if we'll get there. No, there's fixing. There's fixing right after I said the thing. Red Herring is a clue. If we get a bunch of suspect stuff, we can use this to sack our suspected creatures as removal, which is pretty cool. I think I'll take the Juggler. Because Black-Red is supposed to be like the suspect archetype, so we could find some synergies for these. Now we found 2 copies of it. So that could be helpful. Yeah, here's a synergy. It's a removal spell, and it puts a counter on our suspected creature. And we can shut off the suspected ability if we want to. Suspected just means it has menace and it can't block. So if we want to be able to block with that creature, this card can get rid of that and let us do so. But it's also just cheap removal. That works great with our current plan of being a pretty controlling Rakdos deck. All right. There's some fixing. Public thoroughfare. It's the big coroner to clog up the board later. We only need like 4 more playables in this last pack to have a full deck. I don't know if it'll be a good deck, but like building around Judith as much as we can. Kylox is a way harder sell than Judith. You have to have tons of instants and sorceries and tons of creatures on board to sack the creatures. Still take that because it's cool, but I don't know if we're going to splash it in. Now we've got a Gravestone Strider. I mean, I guess there is some fixing, but they're like really mediocre cards in general. Strider and Thoroughfare. Pack 3, pick number 1, double Kylox. We gotta do it, right? Could take a Hunted Bone Brute. We can play this face down and then flip it up. That way it's just a straight up 6/2 menace that shoots our opponent for 3 when it dies. That's pretty good. Could also just hardcast it and give them the dogs, but that sounds like a bad idea because then they double block it and kill it immediately. Alternatively, we take Unscrupulous Agent, which is a solid 2-drop for any black deck, especially ones that have sack abilities. Person of Interest is pretty good in general. Let's try out the Bone Brute. Let's try some rares. This seems fun. Pack 3, pick number 2. We've got plenty of removal. I don't think we need to slice. Grab another Person of Interest or grab another Undercity Eliminator. We are not doing great on having permanents on board to sacrifice to the Eliminator. I guess it can just sacrifice itself, right? It can just be a 5-mana sorcery to exile a creature. That's not horrendous. It's not very good, but it's not horrendous as a backup plan. Yeah, if we can curve Person of Interest into the Eliminators, these are going to be insane. Case of the Gorgon's Kiss. Destroy a creature that was dealt damage this turn. We are not a good deck for using this. You want to be a deck with like a bunch of 1/1s that are going to chump attack, and then you use this to finish something and try to get the Gorgon later. Yeah, I don't think we're great at that. We've got Concealed Weapon. 3 mana 2/2, then 3 mana flip it up, throw +3/+0 to something. It doesn't get first strike or anything, so that's not that great. Yeah, just a flash removal spell, I guess. Soul Enervation. It's not an instant or sorcery, though, which is a bit of a nombo with Judith. Here's another Suspect card. Clandestine Meddler. Pretty synergistic with the Rune Brand Juggler type cards we have. We've already got a Slice. We've already got a Detonation. Take that. I do like Detective Satchel a lot, but I think we need a lot more clues than we have right now for that to be great. Pick 5 is basically nothing. Take another Disguise Threat. Pick 6. Another Deadly Complication. All these. Maybe we just play a bunch of Suspects, so we just put counters on them while we play removal. Could be cool. Alright, now we actually have enough just 3 mana 2/2s for Dual Leech to do some stuff. Put in some work at 4 mana. Pick 8. Alright, I'll disguise a branch of V2 Ghazi at this point. We're kind of just the disguise deck. Maybe Lumbering Laundry's better, but Branch is funny, so I'll take Branch. Yeah, I'm just gonna go pure Rakdos here. Kind of a hard pick, actually, because Goblin Maskmaker can reduce the cost of all our disguise creatures, and we've got a good chunk of them now, so that would be pretty cool, but I like a second Person of Interest to go with our 2 Undercity Eliminators. Give us really expendable fodder for them. Lead pipe seems fine. Slice from the shadows would be fine. I think we've got a lot of removal. Let's take a lead pipe. Maybe try that out. Discard spell or combat trick. Don't think I'll play either. Alright, let's build this deck. Rakdos Spellslinger here. Just a bunch of instants and sorceries, a bunch of removal spells in general. So if we ever get to draw into a Judith and she doesn't instantly die, we will just take over the game with her abilities. So probably not the best idea, but the funnest one. So let's cut mainly non-instant, non-sorcery, non-creature cards. And then some creatures maybe. We don't need to be a creature-heavy deck here. We're at 17 right now. I'm fine with this deck going down to like 12 creatures, and that it would be 12 if I cut 5 of them, so cut whatever creatures I want, really. I feel like the coroner's probably way too slow. Yeah, it's cute with the person of interest, but it's really, really slow. Same with the interrogators. We do not have enough clues to ever win the game off this, so it's just a 6 mana for 5/6 and a clue, which is fine, but probably not great. I think this is a fine place to be. Just cut these 3 creatures and 2 of the non-creatures in the end. Seems fine. Keep demand answers since it's an instant or sorcery. And we do have like a lot of removal, and it's all instant and sorcery removal to help trigger Judith. And we don't really have anything in our deck that triggers the life drain thing on this card, so I guess we cut Soul Innervation and keep the lead pipe to turn our face down 2/2s into 4/2s. Could be a thing. Could be good. We probably should not play Branch of Vitu-Ghazi because we could get punished for having a colorless land in here, but it's fun, so I'm going to try it out. I'm going to try it out and see if it helps prevent Flood, giving us a little 2/2, I guess, in those positions. I guess we still need to cut one more card somehow. I guess maybe we just drop the lead pipe as well. I do have the dual leech making the 2/2s matter later. Eh. Sure. Drop the lead pipe and call it a deck here. Here we have a look at the final deck list for today. We're on a Rakdos Judith build, so we have a ton of instants and sorceries in here to trigger her abilities, get those imps, or turn our burn spells into just full-on removal for anything that also gains us some life. So again, tons of removal in this deck, tons of instants and sorceries to play really well any game we manage to get Judith. If we don't get Judith, we're this dirtily, controlly, mid-rangey Rakdos deck, not as aggressive as this color pair generally wants to get. We've got some of the good little suspect aggressive cards like the Jugglers and some Person of Interests. We've got a bunch of disguise cards like the Riftburst Hellion, Gadget Technician, Bone Brute. I guess this isn't a disguise card, but all those to work with Dual Leech to buff them up, give them Death Touch, get some extra attacks in there. And then a little bit of finishers, of course, just flipping up these big cards or dropping like an Offender at Large as a giant creature, some stuff like that. So kind of a weird, interesting deck today. Not anywhere near as aggressive as I think the general Rakdos decks are going to be, but this is going pretty deep on Judith. So we'll see how it does as we head into the gameplay. Here we are for game 1. Our opponent's on the play. We can extract their first threat, have a slice for something later. If we hit any land, we can play the Technician face down to flip up later, and we have the most important card to our deck with the Judith in hand. So I think I have to take the risk of getting mana screwed here and keep. Oh, Extract is going to be so good here. This card's insane for those blue-red decks. Really, any archetype that can make a bunch of clue tokens, because every time they sack a clue, That thing gets plus and plus one, so it gets big real fast. And even if I kill it immediately, it was already a 2-for-1. They just sack the clue and draw a card anyway. Gear Drake is maybe the strongest of the signpost uncommons in this format, but I haven't seen all of them yet. I just know it's a really, really good one. Let's use the most of our mana here, play the 3-drop over the 2-drop. And there's their own face-down card. Do not hit a land. That is not ideal. Still got 2 more removal spells if I use the slice here. Be fine with that. I can also suspect a creature and just start jamming. Just fine too. Guess let's just slice this, and if I hit a land next turn, I can now play the Juggler and Galvanize somebody. Alright, not the greatest target for our slice, but not the worst. It would turn into a 6/5 eventually, so I don't mind clearing that out. Alright, there's the shock for our face down. No 1/1 flyer for us. There's land number 4. It's not another red source though, which is, I guess, not that awkward, but it does mean we don't get to hold up Galvanize. I want to suspect this. I guess I have 2 of the sorceries that destroy a creature and put a counter on a suspected creature, so I probably should. Okay, it doesn't matter. They just shock it regardless. Whether or not it's the suspect, it's certainly shocked. Oh no. This thing absolutely steamrolled me and sealed. They get to exile all their cards from grave to crew this, and then attack with it, and then they can just cast them later. So anytime they need to play another shock, they can just exile their whole grave, attack, and then cast a shock, and it's really good value over time. So all I can do here is play Person of Interest, and then they can collect all their evidence, attack in, cast a shock, re-kill it. Is any non-land permanent? No, it's only creatures. God dang it. I have so much removal, but it's all just for creatures. I've got no way to kill this Volt Strider, because it's a vehicle, so you need to be able to kill it at instant speed. Sorcery speed removal like Suspicious Detonation and Undercity Eliminator is not going to work, and we can't draw 2 cards during our opponent's turn. We're not even that likely to draw a second during our own, so that doesn't work either. If we can keep a Judith on the board, we could maybe galvanize it and gain 3 and kill it. But this is just not looking good. I imagine it is much safer to Eliminator the face down or Detonation the face down than it is to cast a Judith right now. So we know they have at least a shock. Judith does have 4 toughness, which is pretty big. But if they have like a Galvanize in hand, Galvanize plus shock would get there. And they can do that off Volt Strider. Yeah, I'm gonna Eliminator the face down. I should have attacked in first. Oh, and I can't Eliminator the face down because it's got Disguise. Never mind. I was so excited because I knew Detonation could kill it, and for some reason I correlated the 2 and thought that Eliminator could kill it. But I can't. Alright, we should have attacked first and then post-combat detonated that, but this works fine. If they galvanize the Eliminator because I did that, so they don't have the Galvanize for Judith, that could be good. So the thing that I was thinking of that is the reason I didn't end up detonating that, is I was like, well, no, if I can kill it a different way, I should, because then I get to keep another instant or sorcery to work with Judith. And then I just forgot that doesn't actually kill it anymore. So I am 1 mana away from playing Judith and Halvin Galvanize up at the same time to guarantee it works. But I, at 12 life, don't think I really have time for that. Gadget Technician was their face down, so they have a 3/2 and a 1/1 flyer here. They still have 4 cards in hand. They can bounce the Judith, so if we top deck land 7, we might still be in it. If we don't, just recasting Judith next turn is gonna keep us really far behind. And just shock our 2/2. Volt Strider's so nasty. Hopefully Judith can be nastier. There's that 7th land. Come on, Judith. Out nasty the sick nasty over there. They've got 4 evidence in their grave right now. They need to put 2 more mana value in there to exile the cards to play. Oh, there they go. Now I'm just dying to a million flyers, even if we kill Volt Strider. Oh, shoot. Oh, they're just going to crew it rather than collecting the evidence. Okay, so they can declare an attack and they don't cast anything off that, so I'll let that attack go through and then choose what I want to do. Alright, well, they didn't attack with Technician. If they attacked with Technician, I might... Well, I guess if they attack with Technician, I can just block with Judith since they tapped out. I was going to say I might have made the Imp here, but... No, we just kill this Volt Strider. Time to top deck end the festivities. Deal 1 damage to their whole board. Give it Death Touch lifelink. Detonation is not enough. 4 damage in the sky per turn. Do I gain 4 here? Or do I get the 2/2 and try to do a little bit of outracing? I think I'm pretty dead either way. I'm just going to try to outrace them to get some action going. At least I can say I damaged them a bit here. Make the numbers closer. Makes me feel a little better. I'm a little worried here. I don't think this kind of deck or archetype is going to play out super well in this format. Because there's so many like 2-for-1 value plays with all the investigating. And with this, all the 2-for-1s really just came from Volt Strider. That 1 card cast 3 spells in 1 because the vehicle got all of its damage in. That's 1 spell worth of value and it recast 2 shocks. So we got 3-for-1 there. So just playing a bunch of 1-for-1 removal spells which really isn't enough. Oh, I guess I should have suspected the Imp so I could sack it and kill something. Oops. I was just like, there's no value of giving something menace here, but then I could at least kill a flyer and go to 1 instead of 0. But I would still go to 1, and then they've just drawn a new hand with another 3-for-1. Oh, and they had removal, so even if I did that whole chain, I would now have no board left at 1 life. Yeah. Does not really matter. Anyways, what I was saying is there's a lot of great creatures that like enter the battlefield and make an additional creature, or enter the battlefield and investigate, or like that vehicle there that's like, it's gonna beat me down, it's also gonna recast 2 more instants and sorceries. So there's just way too many cards that if you're trying to compete with a deck full of 1-for-1 removal spells, you just end up falling behind. As you get later in the game, your opponent's hand just gets larger and larger, while yours, you've expended all your resources killing cards of theirs that have already done work, like killing that vehicle there with our galvanize and stuff. So a little worried about our chances here. That is definitely a factor in this format that is working pretty hard against this deck. So a little scared starting off 0-1 here with some potential flaws to this strategy, but maybe we can at least have some fun, maybe find 1 or 2 wins. But I am noticing, I feel like this is not really the kind of deck that's well positioned for modern day limited games of Magic, but especially this format. Here we are for game 2. I am the king of awkward mana, and I shall keep it and draw perfectly. Don't even worry about it. Do not worry, you will only make it worse. Uh-oh. Mirror match, but they're on the play and they're actually aggressive? Uh-oh. 2 null lands in a row when we're on the draw. That was a big factor in the keep, is that we're on the draw, so we have 3 draw steps before we need to hit a single land. Alright, we hit a single land. It's not a black source, but it's enough to start doing some mighty morphing. We actually morph this, because we don't really care if this trades off. Technician, if it trades off, means we aren't getting an additional blocker. At this point, we need to be full defense here. Deadly complications are kind of wild with Person of Interests. Get a 3/3 and a 2/2 after we cast that? No! Slice from the shadows. There goes our blocker. We're down to 14. Oh! Missed the land. I'm gonna have to demand some answers here. What is going on with my mana? Tell me, Arena. I demand you tell me. Branch. Let's play a swamp. Pass. Uh-oh. Oh, Lord. I'm already down to 9. This Rakdos beat stuff is uncool. What kind of nerd plays Rakdos in this format? I can only cast 1 spell here no matter what I do. I imagine that spell should be killing the 3/4 flyer. So let's use the most expensive removal, so we can use the cheaper removal later. I mean, I guess this kills disguised cards cheaper than the complications do, but of course. Six mana. Face down. Things are gonna get a little bit complicated. My god, if you blow up a disguised creature with deadly complication, you're blowing up a creature that's acting like it's somebody else. And that gets me frustrated. Down to 3 now. Oh wait, we're not? Oh, they gain 1 and surveil 1. I just saw a bunch of 1s. I thought it was they gain 1 and we lose 1. Okay. Well, there's a blocker. Probably going to be too late, but... Well, I mean, I guess I could just kill the flyer. That's probably better. Yeah, this is probably better. We're not getting any +1/+1 counters from our complications. It's so rude. Is it all lands in their hand? Please tell me it's somehow all lands in their hand. Well, I get to play a lot of blockers regardless now. Let's post-combat. Feels like a better idea. So I got 2 new blockers on this board to not die. Maybe it was safer to just keep the technician face down. Oh. Draw 5 cards out of my deck. Why are only 3 of them up there? It shouldn't tell me that. That's a bug. They need to fix that. 2 of them are lands, 3 are spells. They got 3 spells out of the 5. That's not good. That's so funny, though. It's telling me which ones are lands and non-lands in a roundabout way. They hit my long goodbye, so they get to go swamp, long goodbye. I mean, I have 2 of those, so I guess it was likely for them to hit. Dang, they got to spend 2 mana to kill my 6/7. RIP. Extract a Confession. Yeah, luckily that's not great against my deck. I guess if they just hit a massive pile of removal, that's fine. Our current board is good against that. If they hit my Judith, though, I would have an aneurysm, and it looks like they didn't. Is that their own deadly? Yeah, that's their own deadly complication. I already used all mine. Alright, now I get to cast a Person of Interest and hold up the Galvanize, which is nice. They're down to 12. We've got 2 removal spells and a wide board. Under City Eliminator. They basically just hit all removal. Which is basically our deck, so seems decent. I'm gonna Galvanize in the end step, so if I draw into something, I can cast it. And they're gonna shock. I'm actually happy with that. Shock my creature. Now they can't just randomly kill me by top decking another shock. 4 life. I'm actually just gonna send in the 2/2s because they're gonna kill them in 3 swings even without the 1/1. Oh my god, we really are the same deck. I'm gonna hold this in case they have the 1/1 that makes me exile a card from my hand. So I was holding the 1/1 flyer back because I don't know the format well enough to know if there's a 4-power haste creature, but I imagine there is at some rarity. Now I can hold up Runebrand Juggler as instant speed removal. Unless they kill this 2/2. I'm not going to play around a 4-power flying haster. I still got the 2/2 to jump with on ground. Oh, that's bad. I have 45 mana value in my grave. God, I've cast a lot of spells. Yeah, that is bad. If I kill it, they get 2 1/1s with flying. Okay. Let's play a Phoenix and pass. And we will kill it on the turn that I get to attack them with the Phoenix, I think. Although, I might want to just not even attack the turn I kill it. Ooh, that's a phenomenal draw. Because giving the Phoenix Menace, yeah, they conceded. Let's go. I was going to say, giving the Phoenix Menace gives me a way to keep damaging them without killing the onlooker and giving them the flyers to try to kill me. Plus, it's just a sick combo in general, because once I sack this Phoenix as a suspected creature to sack for removal, it just comes right back, because I have 45 evidence in my grave. Alright, well, I was not expecting to survive as long as I did, but fun stuff in the mirror match. They just ended up drawing a boatload of removal in the end, and that was fine. We still got to keep some random tokens on board, so... The exact flaw with our deck in this format is the flaw with this archetype that let us win in the mirror match. The fact that we played a bunch of cards that were 2 2/2s, or a 3/2 and a 1/1 and stuff, and they played a bunch of 1-for-1 removal, so we just got left with a couple random tokens to kill them with. It's that exact flaw that won us the game, so while it did mean that I won in the end, it's not a good sign for our deck in future matches, because that flaw that killed our opponent is the same flaw that's going to kill us in future rounds. 1-1 it is, heading into game 3. Here we are for game 3 with Poo Poo Mana. That's going to be a mulligan here. We've got our best spell being double red with no red sources is Bayed. I think our deck is bad enough. We don't have to draw hands like this to 1-3, so it's real sad that we're drawing hands like this. Mold of 5. Oh my. We're on an 8-8 split. We're on even colors. Well. This might be the end of the road, folks. This might be the end of the road. We'll see. Pretty happy to be able to immediately kill the Gear Drake again, but the issue, as we said earlier, is it came with a clue token, so even though I kill it immediately, we're now down another card because they're up a card from this clue token. They got 2 cards of value out of this. They spent 2 mana to kill my Extract Confession and draw a card off a clue. Let's kill that before they get a million more clue tokens, I guess. Plus, that's the only thing I can cast right now anyway. We drew our worst draw in the deck. 2 swamps. We've drawn our double red card now. Oh my god, they got double Gear Drake? Okay, I'm fine losing this. They got double Gear... They played 2 Gleaming Gear Drakes, the strongest signpost uncommon in the format, and 2 rares. Those are the 4 cards they've played this game. What does this even do? 2 mana to draw a card. At the beginning of combat, if they've drawn more than 1 card, put X counters on creature where X is the number of cards you've drawn? -1, so the number of extra draws? Holy lord, their deck's insane. How did I get paired against this? Gear Drake, Gadgeteer, Gear Drake. Whenever they sack a clue, they get 2 counters on the Gear Drake. They get 1 from Gear Drake and 1 from the eidetic memory. I have to look that word up so I don't sound stupid in future drafts. This is a bad time. I'm having a terrible time. We're very dead. We have a mountain, though, so that's a start. Oh! Gear Drake, 3 rares, opponent says. Woo! Just find 5 mana for Eliminator, I guess? This thing's about to be a 7-7 Flying Trample. They just sack both the clues. I guess that's a 6-6 Flying Trample. I forgot how to do math. Oh no. Oh no. That's 2 cards, and they can sack both clues? That's an 8-8. I'm actually prophetic. I'm omnipotent, everybody. Or I'm omniscient. When I said 7-7 Flying Trample, it's because I knew they were going to draw 2 off of demand answers and then only sack 1 of their 2 clues. I actually know exactly what was about to happen, so... But you all sound dumb now. I'm the smart one this time. Yeah. We're so dead. I mean, we're 1 mana away from exiling that, so... If we do, then we're not dead on board, we're just dead to our opponent drawing 15 cards this game. I think I suspect the meddler. Oh, I should have done that first so I could have surveilled. I'm back to looking like the dumb one again. Oh, it wouldn't matter. Never mind. If I did that pre-combat, they could have just shocked the meddler so I don't get any surveil, but they choose to shock the juggler, so... Maybe they would not have shocked the meddler. They probably would have, though. Stop that surveil for the turn. Oh no, now they get to start putting counters on other threats so they're not all in on the Buzz Crusher. Yep. Getting counters on the smaller flyer so that we die to that. Oh, we did hit the Eliminator mana. I guess I get to surveil and see that if I had surveilled last turn, would I have hit the 5th land to kill Buzz Crusher? Probably doesn't matter, because I would have played Eliminator and then... Still take 2 in the sky. I could trade Eliminator. Okay, it didn't matter. We would not have surveilled into a land. We would have milled this Slice from the Shadows and then drawn Long Goodbye, which is basically the same card. We just die to the Buzz Crusher either way. Okay. Well, this was a bummer. I was really hoping we could do some sweet stuff with Judith. We got to play her one game, but pretty crushed in that game. And then whenever we didn't get to a player, our deck really just doesn't function without her. You cannot just play a bunch of 1-for-1 removal spells and expect to get there when, as we've seen from our opponent's deck, there are so many cards that are like, I'm going to play an incredibly aggressive threat that gets super big super fast and draw a card when I play it because I got a clue out of it. Like, there's just so many cards like that that you just end up so far behind just playing even really efficient removal spells. So we needed a lot more just 2-for-1 creatures and general stuff. Should have played just your average mid-rangey aggro-y draft plan rather than going for the full removal spell control pile. Got us mega killed. Guess I could have stopped more damage by killing that before they put the counters on it, but it would still be well over lethal. 1 and 3 it is. Contrary to our previous beliefs, I lived. We are 1 and 2. I got so bad at math for a little bit there, I forgot I didn't even lose 3 games yet. We are still in this draft. Time for the big pivot. 1-2 into 7-2? Is it possible? Probably not. But who knows? Uh-oh. That card is nasty. I mean, I said it during the draft. That thing is nuts. Give some +1/+1 basically every time they play a creature. I might even just galvanize it immediately. Although this hand is not bad at racing. I'm actually going to play the Juggler, and I'm going to suspect it. So that when we kill something with Deadly Complication, we get a +1/+1 counter on the Juggler. They are green, white, blue, some Bant stuff over there. Crime Stopper Sprite. Cute. That is fine. A 3/3 flyer is going to deal with that pretty well. Yeah, I mean, God, even by itself, it kind of just plays like a 2-mana 3/3. Nasty card is nasty. Let's get all of our threats on the board and then just play a bunch of super efficient removal. No, exile removal for the Phoenix that keeps coming back from grave. The rudest things imaginable. Alright, I have 3 different ways to kill the flyers, so we let it stick around for a second here. And kill the one that's threatening to hit for 3 or 4 damage instead of just 2. Well, let's hold up all these instants and send in the Juggler. I always feel like I'm saying jugular. I don't think I am. Alright, tap it, lock it down. They get a clue as well. That's solid value. 11 life. Take the turn off here. To get another threat onto this board. I think I will. 6 damage a turn is just a lot. No. This thing is completely broken in half. This is probably the strongest rare in the set. It's a 3-mana 3/2 unblockable, because it just cloaks the top card with +1/+0 unblockable. And then, like, even if you deal with that, they can just spend 2 mana to put the coat back to their hand to replay it and get a new 3/2 unblockable. And if it manages to cloak a creature, they can flip that creature up and then it's a gigantic unblockable threat. It's just like an infinite supply of unblockable threats. Not super beatable. Unless we can somehow really outrace them here. I guess a 6/2 Menace is a start to that. I should have declared the attack first and then done this in case they have a second out cold. So they would just tap my already tapped creature. Okay, luckily they don't. So my poor sequencing does not punish me. We're just going to long goodbye the unblockable threat. And I can wait till the last possible second because it can't be countered, period. So it doesn't matter if they have 1,000,000 mana up. They can't throw a counterspell on top of their ward or anything like that. Create X copies of a permanent. Oh wow, just get a second makeshift binding to deal with my next threat and gain another 2? That's very good. Yeah, I don't have an interaction for that in black-red. I can't do anything about enchantments. Yep. Kill the 3-power creature, but they just get to put the cloak back into their hand to recast next turn. Or the coat, not the cloak. Get a new one. And I would love one more mana here. We're down to 10. I'm gonna play the person of interest. Speed up our clock. Really wanted to be able to like play a threat and kill the flyer, but can't do that without another land. Then I play the 2/2 face down. Use one of my 2-mana removal spells. Okay. What? Oh my god. If it weren't for the fact that all of their 3 removal spells this game have gained them 2 life apiece, we might be like killing them this turn. Whether or not evidence was collected on this, it's probably killing the 3/2 on the ground, so just play that first. I guess it really doesn't matter, because either way, we're going to use the next removal spell on whatever they don't sack. Alright, they only have the coat in their hand. We might still get there. It's 2 more swings and we're golden. They are blue, white, green. They are not going to have haste. So let's just galvanize the sprite right now to have the uncounterable removals up for the warded cloaked card. Or whatever it is. Yeah, cloak. The top card of your library. Oh, this is such a problem. If they didn't hit a creature that they can flip up, then they can just block and pick up the coat, still trade into one of my creatures and recast coat next turn. If they did hit a creature they could flip up, if I try to slice it or long goodbye it, it might not even kill it. I mean, I'm really stuck here. I think our only line is to hope that it is, if it's a creature that they hit off the top, that it is mana value 3 or less, so I can cast this and Defender at large here. Okay, it's not a big enough creature for flipping up to matter. Yeah, it's just a plains, so we get to hit them for 4 and then drop our 2/2. And then they're not going to have haste, and then we might hit them for 4 again next turn. Oh, what is your last card? What did you draw? Oh, that doesn't do anything. That's fine. I guess I don't kill them in 2 swings on board anymore, but with Offender at large, for the +2/+0, when we flip it up, we'll still kill them if they don't draw something else. Oh, and I guess I do kill them on board, even if I don't flip it up. It's 5 damage if I kill their only blocker. No blocker. No blocker. Just top deck a land, please. You'd be at -1 without your makeshift bindings. No, what? Why did I even mention makeshift binding? Honestly, why'd I do it? That was such a bad idea. I am tempting fate today. I thought that was a 5th makeshift binding, I'm not gonna lie. That's 3 blockers off of 1 card. Or, it's 2 blockers off of 1 card. It's 3 blockers this turn, though. Which is not good. So, what do I do here? I mean, we obviously flip this up to have more attackers. If I slice that, they have 2 blockers. Block, block, take 2. They're still alive. Boy. Can they just kill me on the crackback if I do this wrong? If I attack with everybody... No, they can't, because they have to lose inside source or the 2/2. So they can't do the +2/+0 or whatever. And even if they could, it wouldn't kill me on the crackback. Alright. Send a message. Big mana. Boom. I guess I could have also just paid for the ward to send a message. They conceded! Oh, they're still at 2 life. They're just tired of my BS. Let's go. We have beaten a Cryptic Coat with this deck. So it's clearly unbeatable from now on. It's the full pivot to 7-2. We beat the best rare in the format. We made a fashion statement against Coats. We got this. All right, here we are for game number 5, 2-2. Here we are with my chair being squeaky. Playing against a green deck. Oh, they fixed the Kamigawa lands. Nice. These were bugged. They fixed a lot of the visual bugs when they released Murders at Karlov Manor. I just now noticed, because there were a lot with the last update. There's still some of them, but it seems most of them are fixed here. So that is nice. I like this curve. Our opponent's got great mana here, green, black, and white. But yeah, I like that next turn I'm slamming in with a 6/2 Menace and holding up Long Goodbye. Might even just use it, honestly. Just on the face down, might as well. My deck is full of removal. I have 2 more removal spells in hand. Let's see what we're killing here. Crocodilf. 5/5 there. 5/5 with a dad bod. Let's hit for 6 and pass the turn. Oh, no, that's a pretty big bummer. 6/2 Menace is gone. Wow. I'm gonna have to play these as 5 mana 3/3s with no abilities, maybe. I'm not gonna do that yet. I think it's worth it. We need to kill that before they go to combat, or they get to play just an extra land in their hand as a 2/2, which is terrible. Alright, there we go. Now we have a threat. Sure. I probably should have held that land in hand. We've got the 1 card that lets me discard a card and draw 2. And that land does not give me enough mana to play the juggler and sacrifice it to its effect. Can it sacrifice itself? It can. Alright, so I'm glad I suspected it. So I can sacrifice it as a -5/-5 spell if I want to. Ooh, that's a pretty great card too. Cloak 2 of the cards from the top 5, so they just choose the 2 best creatures, put them right onto the board, and they can flip them up later for their mana costs. Pretty nasty. A lot of great spells in this format. Branch. They have 20 mana value in their grave. 6, 6, 4, and 4? Yeah. Some high mana value cards. Okay, so every time this attacks, they get a +1/+1 counter on something. And who knows what these are. They're cloaked creatures, so they could be anything out of their deck. 20 life here. I guess I have the time to play it slow and put the branch down to have stuff to sack these eliminators. At 20 life. Theoretically, I mean, we don't know what has been hidden. But in theory, I can take a hit or two before I need to throw all my removal, like throwing a juggler at them, throwing eliminators at them. Besides, I don't have the mana to pay for the ward anyways, so if I wanted to kill something in this turn, all I'm doing is throwing Juggler at Sample Collector, which is fine. But I'm going to set up the eliminators here with another 2/2 on my board. It's removal for the Juggler. And it gets them extra damage in this turn. With the +2/+0. I think it's way too easy for these face downs to turn into more than 3 toughness. Because they can be any creatures in their deck. They don't even have to be disguised creatures. Since they're cloaked here. Is there just like no investigating in black or red? Because I took these kind of early, expecting to find some ways to investigate to sack artifact tokens to these, but we have like no clues. Maybe there's just not support for investigating in Rakdos. But that's been a pretty frequent issue. Alright, I don't have the mana to kill these. So I can just eliminate Undercity Collector now. Die to the cloaked cards. Oh no. The Crocodilf is back. Well, now show me that the other is bigger than a 3/3 as well. Oh, it's not. Nice. Actually trade into that one. Ooh. All right, well. Did slightly better than I thought I was going to do. I thought we went 1-3. I thought our second loss was our third loss. There is that. But this certainly was not a good draft. This is not a great deck. I still had a lot of fun with it, at least. Definitely still learning the format, though. There's a lot of aspects in this deck that just do not pair well against the format. as I said before, you can't just run a million 1-for-1 removal spells and expect things to go well. You need to have a bunch of 2-for-1 value of your own. With all the clue tokens running around, so many creatures that are putting a threat on the board and drawing you a card. As you saw from the blue-red decks that were just demolishing us, with the 2-mana 1/1 flyer that keeps getting bigger and also draws them a card off a clue token. Those decks just crush this kind of deck. And all of the non-investigate colors, the non-clue token kind of colors, have cards like Person of Interest, where they're getting 2 creatures off of the 1 card and using 1-for-1 removal on 1/2 of this. Puts you down, puts you behind there. White has a lot of 2-for-1 spells like that are multiple creatures. White is insane in this format, honestly. It has token producers like Person of Interest, like the 3-mana 1/1 that makes it 2/2, and it has Investigating all over the place too, with like Novice Inspectors, the 1-mana 1/2s that get a clue token. So there's just way too much 2-for-1 value going around. Even that final battle against the big green deck, like, part of what got us pretty bad was that they got to cloak 2 creatures off of the 1 spell. We ended up having to use 2 cards to kill that 1 spell of theirs, basically, stuff like that. So, yeah, we need a lot more 2-for-1s, less 1-for-1 removal, even if it is mostly efficient removal and stuff. We went way too hard after the Judith theme and should have been more focused on getting better creatures on curve, finding better value plays, card draw, stuff like that. Ditch a Suspicious Detonation, ditch a Slice from the Shadows, ditch Extract a Confection, Demand Answers, these 4 weakest spells in the deck for better creatures on curve, and I think we'd have a much improved deck. But there were also some more fundamental flaws with the deck, with like the Undercity Eliminators just seem really bad in this color pair. We just cannot investigate. We saw like no ways to get clue tokens in red-black here. We have a couple ways to maybe get a token on board with Person of Interest or Gadget Technician, giving us a 1/1 Thopter or 2/2 Detective to sacrifice, but we never got to line those up really well with the Undercity Eliminator. So these, I think, are just real bad in this deck. They should really be in blue-black. I imagine that's the best archetype for them, but black-white also seems decent. I think those are the 2 decks that can really use this. Probably not a good red-black or green-black card. As we saw today, these cards were just super, super bad. So, yeah, in the future, cutting these like 6 sort of cards for better creatures on curve would vastly, vastly improve this deck. But 2 and 3 it is as the final record for today. But that is going to end today's video. As always, I'd like to thank my patrons and YouTube members for their support, as well as you for watching this video. If you enjoyed this video and are interested in seeing more, you can always like, comment, and subscribe to tell the YouTube algorithm to send you some more in your recommended feed. If you'd like to catch me live, you can check out the Twitch channel in the link in the description below. And if you'd like to support the channel directly, you can check out the Patreon link in the description below. But other than that, as always, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you again soon for some more Magic Arena.